So I'm filming this before the 19th, and all I have to say is if TikTok actually gets banned, I am going to miss Book Talk so much. And I know what everyone's thinking, oh my gosh, Book Talk was so toxic, why are you gonna miss it? I just think y'all followed the wrong people. I think I followed the wrong people because there were so many TikTokers that I follow that really were just there for the vibes and gave pretty good book recommendations. So I'm gonna miss it. So a general disclaimer on this video is I read a lot of 18 and up books. So assume most of these are more adult coded, at the very least 16 and up. And for anyone who's like, thought she said she was a Christian, I'd like you to actually read your Bible. Cause there's some messed up stuff in there. That's way more messed up than anything I've read this year. But I do like to keep my videos PG, so this video will be PG and there won't be any spoilers, so these will just be general reviews. But again, if you are not above the age of, let's say, at least 16, probably don't engage. Maybe wait. Although, last time I checked my YouTube analytics, I didn't have anyone watching me under the age of 17, so we should be good. Disclaimer over. Now, 2024 is long gone at this point. However, I was sick for like all of December, so this video did not get made. And I really want this channel to be very entertainment focused, whether that be gaming, whether that be performing arts, whether that be Reddit. And today I'm exposing my top books of 2024. And hopefully, if everything works out well, every 1 or 2 months, I will make one of these videos, basically summarizing what my top books were, or even just what I was reading that month. We'll see how this video does. And I read 55 books in 2024. Books in quotations though, because there were plays and short stories and novellas mixed in there and manga. So the 54 in quotations, but I did read something like 14,000 words, so I'll take it. And I thought I would compile a cute little list of my favorite books. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Since we on YouTube, I think it's fitting to start with a book by a fellow YouTuber. One of my top books this year was Just Stab Me Now by Jill Barrett. And I really enjoyed this book. I will say there was a point where I put it down and did not pick it up again for a while, but I wasn't reading anything. So it's not like I picked it up for a different book. It's just like life started lifing. But it's a really cute, really sweet book. Jill Barrett is known as the Sword Lady, essentially, on YouTube. And she had a shorts series called The Female Protagonist or something along those lines. I'll put it here, but I actually wasn't into her little short series. Not because I thought they were bad, I just never really watched them, but I was really into her long form videos. So when she announced that she was making a book based off of her short series, I was like, heck yeah, I'll pre-order it. And it's self-published because no publisher really wanted to pick it up because they were like, it's a little too meta. But I don't think it was too meta. I think the publishers are just wrong in that regard. But it's a really sweet story. It's a story within a story. So it's about the author writing the book, as well as the characters in the book who kind of just want to do their own thing despite what the author has planned. I would definitely recommend adding it to your shelf. Next up, we have another influencer book, this time a TikToker. And I have a sequel, and it's called Apprentice to the Villain. It is the sequel to Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole, and I'm so sorry, I am not going to try and butcher your last name, so we're just gonna put that there. And oh my gosh, you guys, wait, hold on. I need to do this review with Kingsley. What? With Kingsley. Look at him, he has a little sign that says help. Just like it does on the first cover. It doesn't, I don't think he has it on this cover. No, he has uh-oh on this cover, but on the first one, look at him. He's just a little dude. I will say the crown, very low quality considering this thing costs $25 without tax. It's glued on, like hot glued. You can see the hot glue strings. Like what the heck, Barnes & Noble? But I did send a picture of this to my mother, and she was like, I need one too, so I bought one for her as well. So this is not a promo, this is just me being like, I don't know. I love him. I love him. And he sits proudly on my bureau right next to Deadpool Pikachu, as is fitting. Anyways, about the book. I have been a fan since the beginning. This is one where I actually was a part of the TikTok series. I've been a fan since episode 1 of, this is what I think it would be like if I was the morally gray fantasy villain's personal assistant. Hopefully I did that right. So I've been watching her TikToks for a really long time, even before she started her series, just because I liked her takes on books and also buying too many books and owning too many books and the pain that goes with that. And yeah, about the actual series though, it's about the morally gray fantasy villain's personal assistant and the antics they get up to. It's got drama, it's got intrigue, it's romantasy. I gotta say, like, the first book, amazing. This book had a lot to live up to, and it did not disappoint. And I've already pre-ordered the third one, and you need to get this. Like, literally, like a good book spank. You need to get this. We've now entered the chapter of plays. So if you're like, I don't care about reading plays, why would you recommend this to me? Please skip. So I read a couple of plays this year, not as many as I usually do. Probably because I've now graduated. I have 2 that I would recommend. One of them is Arsenic and Old Lace, and I've actually never seen the movie, but I did know the general premise. Great play to go in blind. I wish I had gone in blind. It's hysterical. There's actually a video on my YouTube channel of me and my best friend doing it in my senior recital, so go check that out. We kind of took 2 scenes and merged them together and cut out one character. The general rule of when you're like editing plays for scene work is you're allowed to cut stuff, you're just not allowed to add stuff. But if you don't want spoilers, don't watch that scene because that is spoilers galore. It's really funny and worth a read. You can slam it out in an afternoon and get yourself towards that Goodreads goal you have going this year. Next up, I have a play that's a little harder of a read, but if you find a good like colloquial translation, it's actually not that bad. Like, it's not Shakespeare level at all. It's very conducive with the modern times. And that would be Cherry Orchard by my boy Chekhov. I was a little nervous to read Chekhov because I'm dumb. I'm not dumb, I just get bored easily, and I had to read it for school, so I was like, ugh, this is gonna be so boring and it's gonna be like pulling teeth. And I loved it. It was like Russian, a little bit before Downton Abbey, but essentially Russian Downton Abbey. Like, that's how it felt. Like, there was drama, there was rich people versus the working class. It was delightful. I feel like politics mixed with subtext, mixed with just the vibe of Downton Abbey. Again, it happens a little bit before. I think it happens, it's either the very end of the 1800s or the very beginning of the 1900s. Oh, but it's so good. It's before the Russian Revolution though. But it's like right before, so there's like this tension. Oh, so good. 10 out of 10. Would recommend reading it. All right, for a very short, brief break from the actual hard stuff, welcome to the very short manga section. I've only really been reading one manga series recently, and it's SpyxFamily. Have I seen the anime? No, because I don't watch TV unless I'm watching it with my father, and he doesn't watch anime. So yeah, I don't watch TV by myself. I used to, I don't anymore. So I used to watch a lot of anime, and I have not watched anime in years. And that's not me hating on anime, that's just my life these days. All that to say, have not seen the show, but the manga eats. It eats. Even if you don't like anime or manga, but you like comics, I'd recommend SpyxFamily because it doesn't feel like, it doesn't fall into a lot of those anime-esque traps that keep people from reading manga. It has a very distinct art style. It has a very distinct story. It's both dark, yet uplifting, yet hopeful, yet tender, but at the same time tragic and painful. You know, these two countries have been in war for years, and now they're kind of in a Cold War. Two sides against each other, but the general consensus is neither side is evil. only people who are really evil are the people pushing for war to happen again. I read volumes 8 through 12 in 2024, and volume 13 does not come out until March. Well, it's already out in Japan, but the English version does not come out until March. And then I read it through Libby so that I don't have to pay for it, because that's a lot of books to pay for. So I'll probably have to wait even longer. But the second my library gets it, I am going to be first in that waiting list. You can bet. Back to hardcover books. This is for my historical fiction girlies, for my mystery girlies, and for my romance girlies. This is your all-in-one package of romance, intrigue, and moida. And it's the third book in a series by Amanda Collins. And while it is the third book, each book is its own story. So you could technically get this one to come in blind. You'd be confused who some of the characters are, because it's a lot of the same characters, but each book is its own story. It follows its own girl. So there's a cast of women, and each one follows each of the women as they find their true love while solving crime. And listen, does it have the best reviews on Goodreads? No, but is it a fun time? Absolutely. It's spicy. It's crazy. This one gets wild, I will say. This one's a little crazy, but would recommend. Actually, I almost forgot one important thing. This book is fake dating. So if you hate fake dating, maybe skip this one. I don't always love fake dating, but I feel like this book did it well, to the point where I wasn't hating it. Because sometimes I read fake dating and I'm like, oh my goodness, just tell each other you like each other already. But this one, like, it's good. It's good. It's sweet. It works out. Give it a shot. So next is my apocalyptic read of the year. I would say it's not post-apocalyptic. Like, we're in the apocalypse. So this isn't dystopian or anything. This is really like apocalypse now, baby. And that is The Marrow Thieves by Cherie Demeline? Not 100% sure. You can see on the book, it's won all these awards. I would say these awards are warranted. At its core, it's a classic coming-of-age story. So at its core, it's about a 16-year-old boy and all the things that come with that. Actually, side note, there's this really funny scene, and I told my brother about it because I just died laughing, because it's so typical teenage boy. His love interest comes up to him and is like, it's late at night, and there's only one bed. And she comes snuggling up to him and she's like, bares her heart and soul to him, tells him her tragic backstory. There's tears, like, heart-wrenching. And he's just sitting there like, girl, 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 girl touching me, hot, hot girl touching me. And it was so funny. And then the rest of the group, like the kids are like, I had a nightmare, can I sleep with you? Like, it's so funny. Oh, it's so good. I was like, that's a teenage boy right there. That is a teenage boy. It's a Native American story written by a Native American. And I say Native American like the continent, because it takes place in Canada, but there are some from America that have migrated up to Canada due to the apocalypse. And essentially, the world's falling apart, and people have also, at the same time, lost the ability to dream, except for Native Americans. And so, what people realize is that if they harvest the bone marrow of Native Americans, that they gain the ability to dream back. And so they start rounding up the Native Americans and putting them in schools that are reminiscent of the real schools that happened in the past when Europe was colonizing the Americas and put a bunch of Native Americans into schools and basically did a bunch of awful things to them, like beat them for using their native language and terrible things like that. So it's definitely like combines history with things that are happening now, with like a parable and like a warning of the future, mixed with a coming of age story. And I'd say it's very dark. So if you're looking for escapism, this probably isn't your book. Trigger warnings galore. Look them up if that's something you're worried about. It is very much a complete story. There is a sequel, but I've seen that it has mixed reviews, and the author wrote it years later, and it seems like she more wrote it for the fans than to actually continue the story. However, I have not read it, so if that is not a true take and the sequel is worth reading and you've read the sequel, let me know. But from my understanding, it's better to just read the first book and let it live. So that's what I'm gonna do. So we've entered the sellout portion of the video. I am part of the problem. I am part of the masses. And I cannot be anything but what I am. And what I am is a girl. A girl who read and loved Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Listen, there's not much I can say about these books that hasn't already been said. They're amazing. They're like the books we grew up reading as kids, at least my generation, but grittier and darker and a whole lot spicier. And I love them. And it's T-minus 5 days till I get the third book. So yeah, at the end of the day, what makes someone happy makes them happy. Let me live. Next up is another book that's like a little bit of a sellout, but like maybe not as much as you think. It's Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And honestly, I can tell she's an AO3 author. Like there's just a way she writes where I'm like, I feel like I'm on AO3, and that's not a bad thing. Honestly, it's a little comforting. It's like coming home, but with a real book. You know, it's like stepping away from the screen just to re-enter it without the headache. I really liked this book. Obviously, vampires and werewolves, iconic. I love the arranged marriage trope. Such a good trope. It's not like a beloved trope, because some people are like, I want my characters to just fall in love naturally. I don't want it to be forced upon them. But I'm like, no. Force them into a situation where they are arranged and they don't really like each other at first, but then they grow to like each other, and then they're like, do they actually like me, or are they just acting like this because they feel like they have to because we're technically married, but we don't really want to be, but maybe they've changed their mind, but I don't know if they've changed their mind, and I just eat it up. I will say this book was a little controversial because it did have ABO in it. And I was like, that was the most vanilla ABO scene I have read in a long time. Let us not forget our origins. This was not that bad. In fact, it was written quite tastefully. So, I'm gonna stop talking now. Definitely give it a shot. Ali Hazelwood usually writes women in STEM. This is still a woman in STEM, even though she's a vampire, but just the added layer of being a vampire. So there you go. All right, next up is a YA book. This is a sequel book that I read this year that I loved, and it is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King, and this is Daughter of the Siren Queen by Tricia Levenseller. And it's just a fun time. It's a fun little seafaring pirate romp. It's a grand old time. It's enemies to lovers and slow burn. And like actual enemies. Like they actually actively try to hurt each other in the first book. Like not, I just kind of don't like you. Like no. She's his prisoner. Technically she's his brother's prisoner, but like he's his brother's first mate. Anyways, so good. Up next, we have a book that was kind of slept on, I feel like, this year. I didn't see a lot of people talking about it, but it was like Barnes & Noble's like pick of the month, and they gave me a free sticker, but it's Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. And if you're looking for more dragons in your life, would recommend. It had a bit of a slow start, but once I was in, I was in. I wouldn't really call it romantasy. I mean, it is romantasy, but the romance really is secondary. And like when I tell you this is slow burn, it is slow burn. Okay, this is like true enemies to lovers slow burn, but there was tension. There was a connection. They couldn't fight, but ooh, no, I hate you. And ooh, This book is about dragons. versus humans. The dragons have been put into another realm and they hate the humans because the humans force them there, but the humans, so much time has passed and forgot, and they actually worship the dragons as gods, not realizing the dragons hate their guts. It has a non-binary main character in it, so if you're looking for some representation, I got some for you. It also plays with perspective a little bit, and I love it, and yeah. Before we get to our final category, I do need to finish out the romantasy/fantasy category with my favorite read of the whole year. And am I a little ashamed? A little bit, considering the reviews you look at on Goodreads, and there was a book I dropped this year that I did not finish that had way higher reviews than this did. So I think my opinion is broken. But Voyage of the Damned by Frances White was my favorite book that I read in all of 2024. And it's a standalone, so you don't have to commit to a series. So it's one book. You get to save your money on one book. And I read it in a day. So I guess, was I really saving money? I stayed up way past my big girl bedtime reading this. I think I was up to like 3 because I just could not put it down. I needed to know the answers. It is a murder mystery at sea with fantasy beings. There's so much representation, very diverse cast. Now, I will say this book is gruesome, but it has one of my favorite romantic tropes of all time in it, which I can't say because it's a huge spoiler. I will say there was one twist in the book that I saw coming, and it's because I read Deep Blue as a kid, which is a very different series about homicidal mermaids. And there was one twist in that book that also happened in this book. And I'm sitting there reading it and I'm like, are they gonna pull a Deep Blue on me? And like, I could not tell you anything else about what Deep Blue was about other than like this one twist and like one other thing. Like, this twist changed me as a child. And it has a very similar twist in this book. And so I saw it coming because I was like, are you going to pull a Deep Blue on me? And then they did, and I was like, yes! Even if you end up hating the book, it'll still look gorgeous on your shelf. Like, first, let's appreciate the dust jacket, okay? Gorgeous. Appreciate the edges. Immaculate. And then when you take the dust jacket off, it's not just a blank book. You have a full glowing fish on it with beautiful engravings on the side. The edges stand out. You open it up, it has this beautiful map that says from the library of, and you can put your name there. And in the end, it like finishes off with that same kind of look. It's just a beautiful book. Like, even if you end up hating the book, have it face this way and just show off the edges. Like, so good, so good. The cover even says, there will be magic, there will be murder. And if that's not a clear summary of the book, I don't know what is. Now, okay, before we can fully finish my 2024 best book reviews, I need to do a shout out of my favorite trashy gay fantasy books that I read on Kindle. Just a short one, just a quick one. And I will not be elaborating on any of these. And like, when I say trashy, I don't mean trashy in the sense that they're bad. I mean trashy in the sense that these books are just junk food that you can eat in a day and kind of waste your money on. I mean, it's not a waste. You'll have a good time. Maybe wait for them to be on sale though. All right, first we've got The Goldstone Saga by Jocelyn Drake. And I was reading these the same time I was reading Fourth Wing. And even though this one is urban fantasy, there were a lot of similarities. More ways than one. Next, we have the Rowan Blood series by Kellen Graves. This is one where I will say read at your own risk. Yeah. If you are an AO3 vet, you'll probably enjoy this book. Next, we have The Empty Throne by Megan Durr. Her books are usually hit or miss for me. This one was definitely a hit. And this one has so much diversity in it. It has more than one trans character. It's not like, oh, here's our token trans character. There are multiple identities. I would recommend. Next we have Vampires of Eden by Carla Nicole. And it's in the same world as her other vampire books. And I just want to say, this woman balances out angst and hurt comfort so well. Just, oh, chef's kiss. And last but not least, I finally took the dive and started reading AJ Sherwood this year. And she writes a lot of crack. And she calls it crack, so I'm not dissing her. But I discovered AJ Sherwood. I will not be elaborating. So yeah, that's my 2024 top books. Would I recommend you read all of these? Maybe don't look up the last 4. But I definitely recommend the first chunk. Definitely check out Voyage of the Damned if that's something that you would be interested in. And other than that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like it, let me know in the comments below. I would love to do more book reviews. Hit that subscribe button, babies, because I got 30 till I hit 200, and I need 1,000 before I can get that sweet ad revenue. Hit that subscribe button and you'll be helping me towards that dream of one day making some ad rev. Even if they just send me like a cent in the mail. And if you liked the video, obviously hit that like button. But if you hated me, especially now that I just talked about how I want money, be sure to send this video to your enemies. As always, this has been Katie Wren, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye-bye.